Alright guys, so here's the opposite. What if you have a surplus in the balance of payments, right? It's going to be two things that are going to happen. Surplus from the US side would be more money coming in, right? More credits, right? More positives than negatives. More money entering than leaving. Or supply of foreign exchange is bigger than the demand of foreign exchange, right? So again, I'm picking on Russia just to be, I don't know, consistent or something. But in this case, you got United States and Russia. And we'll stick with what we had before, but there is money leaving, so there is U.S. balance of payments debits as a minus, right? So that's debits. And that's the same thing as when we demand their currency. This is demand of the ruble, demand of the ruble. When we buy their stuff, invest in their stuff, travel over there, or whatever, right? But there's money coming back. And in this case, this is the arrow that's big, right? The credits are the bigger one. So this is a positive in our more money coming this way, U.S. balance of payments credits. This will be in lots of Russians are buying American goods or cars, computers, or traveling to the U.S. or buying U.S. stocks on the stock exchange or just doing it. They're coming. So this is the supply of rubles. Supply of rubles, right? And this is the big one, right? This arrow, if I'm calling it a balance of payments surplus for the U.S., that means this, the supply of rubles. So, same thing in our market kind of graph we've been doing is, let's look at that. We'll say, okay, that there's the price of rubles and there's quantity, right? So here's rubles as we've been looking at it. Here's the price of rubles, exchange rate. And we can say, a lot of people want to buy rubles, so it's demand. And of course, a lot of people are selling rubles, so here's the supply. And anyway, our scenario here is, what's the story if you've got a surplus and the supply of rubles is bigger, right? When does that happen in the market? Supply is bigger when, at least for now, the price is not here, but it's higher, right? So that could happen if we've got an exchange rate that's higher than the equilibrium rate. Because at this high exchange rate, let's say it's 5 cents per ruble, right? You can see that it's the opposite of before. The supply is big, demand is kind of small because, perhaps the ruble's so expensive for Americans don't want to buy that stuff, 5 cents a ruble. So again, two things can happen, right? One of them would be, let's say the central bank doesn't do anything. Hands off, this is a free market, let the market decide. So if that happens, market's going to use the invisible hand and it's going to push the exchange rate to where the market wants it to be. It wants it to be right there. So again, two things could happen, or two possibilities. The opposite as when we did possibilities, right? One would be do nothing, and the ruble is going to depreciate, right? Because it's kind of like nobody, or nobody wants it. They're all trying to dump it, get rid of it, go to America. So one would be the ruble would depreciate, lose value. The price falls, depreciates. Or, right? What if the Central Bank of Russia decides, hey, we don't want the ruble to depreciate. We want it to be, valuable. 5 cents is good, right? Perhaps because they want to buy, government military stuff, or it's easier to pay debts if they've got a strong currency. So they don't want it to fall. So the central bank, it could be of any country, but typically it would be Russia because they have the most interest. What do you got to do if you're a central bank and you want to keep the price high like that? The central bank has to buy lots of rubles, right? Because if you buy rubles, buys rubles, that'll keep the price up, artificially high like this. So one or the other has to happen. It's just going to happen, right? And if you had to draw a picture of that, what's happening is, if they want to keep it up here and don't let it fall, they want to keep it, say fixed at 5 cents, is buy. So that's basically demand rubles. So demand for rubles, more people have to buy it. The central bank can be a big buyer because they can do, right? Hopefully they have got the foreign exchange to do it. Is they will buy rubles more demand, right? Demand gets bigger, and then sure enough, the way I drew it is the new equilibrium is right here at the 5 cents, and they maintain the 5 cents. So again, just like the BOP deficit, BOP surplus, one of two things has got to happen: is the currency is going to move, or the central bank has to come in. So there's kind of a rule, a very basic rule, right? Is that a country, doing their exchange rates and balance of payments, they can only control one of those, right? If they want the balance of payments to be nice and even, the exchange rate is going to be moving up or down as it wants to, right? But if they want the exchange rate to be flat and never move, then the balance of payments are going to be moving all over the place, and the central bank is going to have to buy or sell, that surplus or deficit. So there you go. So I just did 2 videos, one on balance of payments surplus and one on deficit for the United States. So that's another segment.